Time in the calendar. Okay, so time. What is time? We'll come back to the deeper issue of time later on when we talk about space-time, but here on Earth we measure time as the sun going across the sky, or really it's the spin of the Earth. How long does it take to spin? We figured out that it's about 24 hours. But what is an hour? Where did we come up with that? Well, it takes about the sun about 15 degrees per hour to go across the sky. So in the morning, think about the morning sun. The sun's in the east, popping up off the horizon, goes up into the sky. The highest point in the sky is noon. Gets to the highest point in your sky. It may not be overhead, but it's at its highest point in your sky. Then it goes down in the west. There at the bottom where it says, when the sun passes, it's the highest point in the sky. This is your meridian. Meridian. That is your meridian. That's basically noon for you. Noon is your meridian. Which leads us to meridians, post and ante. You may not have known this, but post-meridian, PM, is after the sun passes your meridian. So afternoon is post-meridian. Ante-meridian, AM, is before the sun passes. So AM is in the morning. That's a pretty interesting little fact that most people just didn't know, but you're going to have to know it for this class, so might as well learn it. Continuing meridians, our time is based on St. Louis's meridian, about 7 or 8 minutes early. What that means is if you're in St. Louis and it's noon, 12 o'clock, then the sun should be at its highest point in your sky. Here in Springfield, or in our area, it's about 7 or 8 minutes later, which is not too big of a deal. By this method, if you calculate it out, we have 365.2422 days, a remainder that will actually have significance after 1,000 years or so. No big deal. Okay, two types of calendar. There's the Julian and the Gregorian. All right, well, there are tons of types of calendars, but really the ones that affect us most are Julian and Gregorian. You may remember a couple of years ago the Mayan calendar that ended, and we all, I guess we're not alive. Okay, Julian calendar. This is the one with Julius Caesar, of whom you've probably heard. About 2,000 years ago, that's what 2 millennia ago are, Julius Caesar's astronomers established a calendar with a 4-year cycle, one that we're very accustomed to now. We had 3 years that had 365 days, and a 4th year, which was called a leap year, and it had 366, and that day is usually February 29th. But there was an error with that remainder at the end, that .2422. It ended up making the first day of spring much later than it should have been. So people were planting crops before it was a good time to plant crops. They were still having freezes. Then along came, about 1,400 years later, Pope Gregory the 13th. He ordered a calendar reform. He was a very interesting individual, and I highly recommend checking out some stuff on him, doing a little research. Basically, he took the Julian calendar. His researchers found out that we needed to do something to account for this remainder. And basically they said, all right, every 400 years, at the end of a century, it had to be an 00 year. We just wouldn't have a leap year. That's how we fixed it. So just no leap year on that last 400th year.